When you have a show about gratitude, you've got to be grateful for your sponsors. And in our life of gratitude, we all have guides. Somebody that guided us through our lives, that made us appreciate those things that we have. And that's why I'm so delighted and so grateful for our sponsor, Life Guides. Life Guides is a peer-to-peer community that helps people navigate through their day-to-day stressors by providing a place of empathy, listening, wisdom, and support with a guide who has walked in your shoes, experiencing the same challenge or life experience as you. A true life guide. And because you're listening to our gratitude podcast, if you go to their website, lifeguides.com/schedule a demo and add the code HEALTHY2021. The code is HEALTHY2021 in the free text box. You'll get 2 months of their services for free. 2 months for free. So sign up, show your team you care, get a life guide, be grateful for those guides in your life, as I am grateful for our sponsor, Life Guides. Hey, welcome to Leading with Gratitude Live. I'm your host, Chester Elton, coming to you from the gratitude epicenter of the universe, Summit, New Jersey. Let me just say thank you for giving us 30 minutes of your time. I love our gratitude community. I love the way you rally around each other and bring the positivity. You're making us the #1 live show on LinkedIn when it comes to gratitude. We always say, hey, give us 30 minutes. We'll give you great information, great inspiration, and the tools to live a life of gratitude at work and at home. It's all based on our Wall Street Journal bestselling book, Leading with Gratitude Live. Well, listen, our program is brought to you live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube by the wonderful people at the Methods Network. If you're looking to do a great virtual presentation, digital presentation, there's nowhere to go but Brent Klein. Take a screenshot here so you don't lose his contact information, methodsof.com. Unique, scalable, television broadcast-worthy shows, keynotes, and live events. We love working with the Methods Network. They are extraordinary. Okay, our guest today, and I can't wait for you to meet her. She is more fun than, what's the expression? A barrel of monkeys. She's more fun. She is Mitzi Perdue. She's our new friend, and let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a speaker. She's an author. Mitzi Perdue is a businesswoman, a master storyteller, and an accomplished artist. She holds degrees from Harvard University and George Washington University and is the past president of the 35,000-member American Agri-Women and was one of the first U.S. delegates to the United Nations Conference on Women in Nairobi. Most recently, she has authored How to Make Your Family Business Last, techniques, advice, and checklists and resources for keeping the family business going. And she's going to tell us some great stories about her family businesses. In addition, she's the author of a biography of her late husband, Tough Man, Tender Chicken. I know you know who this is. It's Frank Perdue. She's also written a wonderful book called How to Stay Up in Down Times. She is an amazing woman. It's her birthday tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. She's also authored more than 1,800 newspaper articles and magazines on family business, distributed to over 420 newspapers. I could go on, but Mitzi likes nothing better than sharing insider tips for successful family businesses. Her family started the Sheraton Hotels. Her Perdue family started the poultry business in 1920. The two families have a combined tradition of 222 years of staying together as a family. As we say, wow, she is a delight. She has a birthday tomorrow. She is the founder of Win the Fight, All Against Human Trafficking. Please welcome to the show, the indomitable, the positive, the incredible founder of Win This Fight, Mitzi Perdue. Welcome to the show, Mitzi.
What a complete joy to be here. In part, first, because you're so great, but then I love the premise of it. I think a happy life has to involve gratitude. And boy, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, it really is not just a better way to lead, a better way to live. Well, listen, we're going to introduce to you the key member of our team here, Janice Perkins. She's at the Question Command Center in Wichita, Kansas. She's always got the great hair. Put your questions in the chat box, and we'll be sure to ask Mitzi questions. Well, we've gotten to know each other just a little bit, and I have to tell you, you are beyond delightful. You just emanate joy and gratitude. So I know people are interested about the story of your two amazing families, the Sheraton Hotels and Perdue Chicken. So do you want to give us a little background and how you merged these two iconic brands and iconic families?
Well, marriage was the answer. I fell in love and married somebody came from a long-lived family. But you know something interesting? Both men felt that their entire success, and this is an example of gratitude, was from the people who worked with them. You know, people who would go the extra mile and stay with them for life. Both men were just over the moon grateful for the people who worked with them.
You know, I love that. I love, you know, the leaders that care about the people that make everything work, right? So tell us a little bit about how you build such positive relationships. I mean, you're involved in so many different causes, and you build these positive relationships that are long lasting, you know, family businesses, charities you're involved in. What's your secret to having such wonderful friendships and relationships in business and in family?
Well, allow me to answer that by telling a story about my late father that's kind of emblematic of the answer to you. When I was a little girl, I was always asking him, how did you build Sheraton? Because, you know, at the time of his death, he employed 20,000 people and the family owned 400 hotels. We did sell it at the time of his death. But he told me that his success at every level came from the people who worked with him. And how did he build this relationship? Well, he told me that the first thing he'd ever do when he took over a hotel was, and typically the hotels that he bought would be in bankruptcy, and he was able to turn them around. But he said the way that he did it is the first money he ever spent on any hotel that he bought wasn't in the areas that the public would see. No, instead it would be like the employee dining rooms, the employee showers, locker rooms, stairwells. And he was doing that to show the people he worked with that they were the most important of all. And yeah, how's that for a way of demonstrating gratitude?
You know, it's so interesting, isn't it? If you take care of your people take care of your customers. It's really and yet so many people don't do it. So Sheraton Hotels, I love that story about your dad. Okay, so let's move from hotels to chicken. The Perdue Chicken Empire. I mean, you wrote a book about your late husband. I mean, he was just bigger than life. Talk to us a little bit about that relationship and how he built that empire.
All right. It's a different industry, but as far as I can tell, both men had the same attitude that it's the people who work with you who are going to make it a success. And there's a quote from a psychologist from 120 years ago. The guy's name was William James. And if you haven't heard this quote, it's so apt for what you do. And it's the following. And this, again, was kind of a guidepost for Frank. William James, the psychiatrist from like 1900, said, "The deepest principle of human nature is the craving for appreciation." So, all right, so Frank spent, how about, as far as I can tell, a good bit of his waking hours finding ways to show appreciation for the people who worked with him. And one of the ways that we did this, it was something that worked in perfectly because I come from the hospitality industry, and hospitality seems to me to be the answer to everything. I'm kidding, but not entirely. We had a program of inviting people who worked with him. Their employees are associates in Perdue speak. When we first married, he employed 16,000 people. We started a program within 6 weeks of our marriage of entertaining people 100 at a time, 3 times a month, with the goal of entertaining every single person who worked for Perdue in our home for dinner.
Wow.
And again, and let me describe what the end of these evenings would be like. I just lied to you. I'm not going to tell you about the end. I want to tell you about the middle. So there are 100 people. They could be truckers, sanitation workers, accountants, veterinarians, everybody, but 100 at a time. And it was a great big buffet dinner each time. And Frank would stand behind the buffet line waiting on the people who worked with him. And I think that's a way of demonstrating gratitude. You don't wait on somebody unless you care about them.
I love that. He's serving the food. That really touches my heart, because not only is it a big deal to have lunch, let alone a grand dinner with the boss, but then to have him serve you the food. What a wonderful display of, like you say, appreciation and gratitude. And this, of course, because of hospitality in the hotels and Perdue Chicken, but there is something kind of sacred about breaking bread with people, isn't there?
Well, Frank, being in the food industry, certainly got that. I mean, to him, this was symbolic of so much. When you invite somebody to your home for dinner, it means something to Frank, but also to the people who were invited. And he would end every dinner or every evening in different words, but it would be saying the same kind of thing. He would say, looking out over 100 people or so, and he'd look out over the audience and he'd tell them, I know the company wouldn't be what it is today without you. Thank you. Gratitude?
Wow. Deep gratitude. Now, you've written an amazing book that is really apropos for our times, How to Stay Up in Down Times. I know you've got a copy there, so hold it up. Yeah, how to be up in down times. What are some of the secrets in that book to help people that, the pandemic and nobody thought it would last this long? What are some of the tips in that book that you could share with our listeners and our viewers?
Okay, I should first mention that although I wrote probably half of it, I had two co-authors, and one who I bet is known to many in our audience, Mark Victor Hansen. He's the chicken soup for the soul guy. And so a lot of the spiritual and inspirational tips in that book come directly from Mark. Mark has I guess it's a son-in-law, I think it's a son-in-law, named Preston Weeks, who wrote all the physical part of it. And then the parts that I wrote, a lot of them relate to families and being a high-functioning family. Or, you don't know this about me, but I'm also a science writer. For a good bit of my life, I'm working for Psychology Today, yay! But I blog for Psychology Today, but I've also written for the Academy of Women's Health, Genetic Engineering, and Biotechnology News. I'm a science writer and a health writer. So it was me who proposed the idea to Mark and also to Preston that together with our three skill sets, we could help people during tough times. And what I could contribute to it is, I'll give you one, I'll give you as many as you like, but I'll start with one. And that is the importance of respite. If you during the pandemic, whether it's relationships or money or illness, it's our bodies are just bathed with stress hormones. And, those are not good for you when they're uninterrupted. Actually, it's life shortening if you don't get respite. So one of the pieces of advice that I give in this book is give yourself permission, like as in a medical necessity, to do something that just gets you away from the problems that are eating you up. And I'll give you examples. I know one person says a good James Bond movie takes her mind off of whatever's eating her alive. But other people, it's just give yourself permission to play with the kids or the grandkids, lose yourself in a book, but do something that just takes you away from these horrible, crushing things that are bathing you in adrenaline.
Yeah. I love that. Respite. Give yourself permission. Well, Mitzi, we get people that join us from all over the world. We've got Adriana from San Jose, Amit from India, Dave from Milwaukee, Lorenzo from Salt Lake City. And you know what? I want to take a minute and thank our sponsors here. We've got a wonderful offer for you. If you're looking to invest in your leadership skills, there's no better place to go than to Methods Of. There's this incredible online leadership. Learn about it at methodsof.com. There's all kinds of courses there from Marshall Goldsmith on how to be a great coach, and Sally Helgeson about helping women rise, Martin Lindstrom on marketing, Hortense Legentile, who is a good friend of ours, on alignment, and I even have a course on teamwork. Well, because you're listening to our show, we are going to offer you a 50% discount at checkout. All you got to do is put in Gratitude 2021, and you get a 50% discount on the course. So take a screenshot. Remember, it's Gratitude 2021 at checkout, methodsof.com. Well, we're going to throw it to Janice Perkins. She's in Wichita, Kansas, the Question Command Center, because we've got a great question for you, Mitzi, from one of our viewers. Go ahead, JP.
Hey, Mitzi. First of all, I have to tell you that my Zoom cameras experience all kinds of technical issues because your sparkle today is unbelievable. So I thank you for that. So Mitzi, how do you maintain core family values in the business through time and seasons?
Oh, what an important question, because I do believe that values are what keeps a family afloat. I mean, both in the Henderson family, and we began as a family business long before Sheraton. We began in 1840. And we've discovered that some of the values that keep families together, how about philanthropy? My late husband had a saying that if you want to be really happy, think what you can do for somebody else. If you really want to be miserable, think what's owed to you. So having spent a good bit of my life examining what keeps families together and high functioning. All right, point number one, start thinking of things that the family can do for somebody else, that you'll coalesce around something that's going to make you happy. All right, that's point number one. Point number two, be very mindful of the values that you have. I mean, my late husband even went to the trouble of, and I'm going to show what he did. We're looking here at his ethical will, and he put a lot of intentional thought into it. It'll be really hard for you to read it because I can't hold it still enough. But what I'm showing you is his ethical will. He thought of the 10 values that would help people be happy. And one of the big ones is, I've already mentioned it. If you want to be happy, think what you can do for somebody else. If you want to be miserable, think what's owed to you. But he also felt that teaching, like children from their youngest age, that they're part of something bigger than themselves, that they can't always be right, that it's essential to listen to the other person's point of view. And I'm trying to think if this is the biggest answer of all, but I'm going to repeat some research from a woman I admire no end. Her name's Robin Fivish from Emory University. She says, spend time with your family. The families that have 5 meals a week compared to the ones that are 1 meal a week, those families are going to be higher functioning in that people enjoy being with each other. They're going to do better at school. There will be less truancy, they'll decrease their odds of having substance abuse. They're less likely to have kids out of wedlock when they're too young to do this. So I guess that among the answers that I have is very intentionally communicate your values to them, communicate your family stories to them, and do it over meals.
That is just beautiful. It is. It's time, isn't it? It's just spending time with people. Well, you touched on philanthropy, and I know you're very passionate about a particular philanthropic effort that you've gotten into. Win the fight. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that mission and how we might be able to help?
Well, I want to tell you a lot about it, not a little about it. However, I'll try to be and not talk for 5 hours about it. Win this fight. It's an effort to provide awareness about human trafficking and also to provide funding for other anti-trafficking organizations. And the kind of way that we do this, like the most recent one, which I would really love everybody who's watching us or listening to us to engage in, is May 11th. The Fulbright Association, they're the ones who administer the Fulbright Scholars. They're having a forum May 11th, and you're invited to it. It's free and it's virtual. It's May 11th at noon, New York time. We're going to be unveiling an anti-trafficking effort in which money laundering experts and one of the biggest anti-trafficking organizations, Polaris, they're going to unveil a way of attacking the funding of the traffickers, because traffickers, it's a $150 billion a year industry, and a lot of that money flows through banks. If banks are convinced that the money laundering is illegal, as in it's hot money, they're obligated to freeze the account. And this really throws sand in the gears of the traffickers when their bank accounts are frozen. The way to get to it, I hope you have a pencil handy. It is, or pen or computer. The way to get to it is to text 55312. And here's what you text to 55312. WTF. If you'll do that, those are the initials of win this fight. But if you'll do that, it will take you to a screen that will take you to another screen, which will enable you to register for this. And I'm hoping that millions of people register for it, because if you come to it, you'll get an overview of what's going on in trafficking today. And I think as a citizen of the world, you need to know. But then it will offer hope and things that you can do. So text WTF to 55312, and I'll love you for it.
You think about, expressions of gratitude and serving people. I mean, taking someone out of trafficking. What more noble cause could there be to free someone literally from slavery, right? Well, listen, Janice has got another question for us at the Question Command Center. So here we are going back to Wichita, Kansas. JP, what's the question?
Mitzi, you're getting so much love in the chat. So thank you so much for your energy and your contribution. What are your first thoughts each day to maintain standing in your joy? And how does that affect your purpose?
Well, my purpose in life is, and I've had this probably since childhood, is to increase happiness and decrease misery. And part of my goal of increasing happiness and decreasing misery means I want to develop more and more skills, whether it's speaking or communication or fundraising. So I kind of focus on how can I use every skill, piece of experience, contacts, how can I use it to move the goal of stopping slavery? So that is what I wake up with in the morning. It's pretty much what I go to sleep with. But there is a good part to this, which is, it's not all drudgery. I think one of the most satisfying things in life is to feel that you're helping others. And back to my late husband's saying, if you want to be happy, think what you can do for somebody else. Well, for me, using every skill, ability, contact, everything to help decrease the misery of human trafficking, boy, that makes me want to leap out of bed.
That is so great. That is so great. Yeah, and hard to forget WTF. Well done. Good marketing plan there. JP's got a really good question. This comes from Joe in Salt Lake. I love this question, JP. Go ahead.
Who has been a big influencer on you, Mitzi?
Oh, certainly. Well, the biggest ones, my father, my late husband. But I also admired Mother Teresa a lot. And I admired her because of a phrase that I memorized that she spoke. She said, it's immoral to be discouraged by the magnitude of a problem. The good that we can do, we must do. And that's how I feel about trafficking. The good that we can do, we must do. I'm not going to solve the problem. But even if a few lives are impacted positively, there's less misery in the world.
I love that. Mother Teresa, just, the standard of excellence when it comes to service. It's so funny. I put different quotes on my board, and my quote from Mother Teresa is, yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not yet come. We have only today. Let us begin. So let's get going. Hey, this is so much good information. I know we've put some stuff up on the lower thirds and stuff. Tell us again, where can people find out more about your mission, your books, and certainly win this fight? Where would you say?
All right, if they have a smartphone, text WTF, memorable, right? WTF, But I think it's appropriate for trafficking. I mean, it really is. So text WTF to 55312. That's the easiest. Another way, which is just as effective, is write to winthisfight.org. And there's a contact part, and you'll see all sorts of information. Oh, and then something else that I'd love it if you do. Go to Psychology Today and search on Mitzi Perdue. I blog for them, and I've got stuff I'd really love to share with you.
Excellent. As we're coming to the bottom of the hour, and I knew this would go by quickly, you just have so much to tell us all. We've done a lot of research on anxiety. And I know as you've counseled families in business, as if you worked in human trafficking, what are some of the things you do to tamp down anxiety or coach people up so that they can kind of keep that at bay and live a more happy life?
Oh, well, I'm going to share from the heart something that I've observed in countless people and that I even know firsthand. And that is, I think too much of the daily news is toxic. So I recommend, if you're feeling anxiety over the world, put yourself on a news diet, maybe 15 minutes or less. And I have a reason behind this thinking. I once worked for a CBS affiliate in Sacramento for 8 years. And I was privy to a $1 million research paper that guided the station that I worked for, and presumably all of them. That if you manage a station and you want people to stay glued to the camera, do things that make them anxious. I mean,
really?
Feature things like rapes, murders, fires, riots, dissension, because you as the viewer might just hate this. But guess what? According to this $1 million research, it's really hard for you to turn the channel. And that's what they want. So my information is from decades ago, but watching television today, I think they're still following that pattern. The more your adrenaline and sort of anguish is rising, you're almost psychologically tuned to look at what's scary and bad, but that's not good for you. So put yourself on a news diet if that's your anxiety. But of course there are other sources of anxiety. Shall I get into them? Because it's very rude for a guest to monologue.
Listen, we'll need to have you back. No doubt about it. But I couldn't agree with you more on the news feed. We get it in our phones, and 90% of it is really negative. Well, listen, we're wrapping up here. We've only got 3 minutes to go. So I've got a couple of questions for you in the lightning round. But if you want somebody to remember one thing from this show, what would the one thing be that you'd want them to remember, to walk away with?
All right. If they would come to the May 11th conference, and it's virtual and it's free, and I think you'll find it entertaining, that would help anti-trafficking, because I would like to use this as a platform. If we can get enough people to attend it, that will bring a lot of attention to anti-trafficking and organizations that are sponsoring it, as for instance the Fulbright Association, the financial institution UBS, Polaris. They're all going to be encouraged to think, let's do more of these. So text WTF to 55312.
55312, got it. Last question for you, Mitzi. Where did you find your gratitude today?
So easy. I've been thinking kind of off and on during our half hour. I love being with you. I'm as grateful as a person can be, because I love your message. I love your attitude. I love everybody who works in the show. This is good stuff. I'm grateful.
Well, listen, everybody, I know you've noticed the beautiful flowers behind Mitzi. There's a reason for that. Tomorrow is her 80th birthday. So give it up for Mitzi Perdue. Hey, listen, I want to thank our sponsors again. Listen, if you want a great production, Brent Klein is your guy. Put it up on the screen, Brent. We take a shot. He's the guy to help you deliver newsroom quality, all kinds of great stuff. And then methods of leadership, invest in yourself. Take an online course, whether it's marketing or leadership or coaching. And when you go to checkout, all you have to do is put in gratitude. 2021, you get a 50% discount. Last shout out to our publisher. We love the folks at Harper Business. Alan Mullally, the guy that saved the Ford Motor Company, said about leading with gratitude, I love this book. And then just a not so subtle call to action. Buy me. Well, listen, I want to thank Brent Klein, the world's greatest online producer. We want to thank JP in the Question Command Center down in Wichita, Kansas. Christy, who's managing all the questions online from Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, the indomitable Mitzi Perdue, our wonderful guest. We're going to dance it out at the end of the show here. And you know what? We're going to do it to singing happy birthday to Mitzi. Give it up, everybody. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mitzi. Hey, have a great birthday and a gratitude-filled week. Be grateful, be kind, and be of service. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Grateful for you.